Ambassador Daho Park stood before the mirror in his quarters aboard Station Alpha 7, meticulously adjusting the golden pins on his navy blue Earth diplomatic uniform. His weathered hands moved with practiced precision, though anyone watching closely might have noticed the slight tremor in his fingers. Today wasn't just another diplomatic meeting. It was humanity's third attempt to join the Galactic Council in the past 50 years. The station's artificial gravity fluctuated slightly as Park walked through the gleaming corridors, his footsteps echoing against the polished metal floors. His aide, Jai-Yun, walked 2 steps behind him, carrying a data pad containing Earth's complete application portfolio. Her young face remained professionally neutral, but her eyes darted around, taking in the alien architecture that surrounded them. Massive viewports lined the hallways, offering breathtaking views of nearby stars and the constant stream of ships entering and leaving the station's docking bays. Ships of all sizes and designs moved through space, some organic-looking, others geometric, and a few that seemed to bend reality itself as they moved. Ambassador Jai-Yun spoke softly as they approached the council chamber's enormous doors. The preliminary readings from the chamber show all 327 member species are present. Park nodded, his face betraying no emotion. Full attendance. They've come to watch the show then. The doors, each as tall as a 5-story building, slowly parted with a deep resonating hum. The chamber beyond was a marvel of engineering, a perfect hemisphere carved from a single asteroid, with rows of seats rising in concentric circles toward the ceiling. Each seat was specially designed to accommodate the vast array of body types represented in the Council, from the gaseous nebulons to the crystalline axiorites. As the Earth delegation entered, a wave of silence swept through the chamber. Thousands of eyes, sensory organs, and other perception apparatuses turned to focus on the small group of humans. Park felt the weight of their stares, but kept his stride steady and dignified. High Counselor Ta-Wan, a Centaurian known for his conservative views, sat at the center of the highest tier. His silvery scales caught the light as he moved, creating rainbow patterns that might have been beautiful if not for the cold disdain in his 4 eyes. Next to him, Sub-Counselor Hae-Newell's tentacles writhed with barely contained irritation. The Council recognizes Earth's delegation. Ta-Wan's voice boomed through the chamber's perfect acoustics. Though I must note this is your 3rd application in 5 decades. Persistence, while admirable, does not equal qualification. Some species in the chamber made sounds that Jai-Yun's translator rendered as laughter. Park stood straighter, his shoulders squared. Honorable Council, Park began, his voice clear and strong. Earth comes before you today, not as supplicants, but as equals. Our technological achievements. Hae-Newell interrupted, his tentacles turning a mocking shade of purple. Your species still relies on primitive fusion power. Your fastest ships barely reach 0.3 light speed. And let's not forget your ongoing internal conflicts. Park's knuckles whitened as he gripped the podium, but his voice remained steady. With respect, Sub-Counselor, Earth has achieved faster-than-light travel independently and established peaceful contact with 12 species outside Council space. Our scientific advances, achieved through reverse engineering of crashed vessels. No doubt, Hae-Newell sneered. The chamber erupted in derisive laughter, the sound amplified by the perfect acoustics until it seemed to physically press down on the human delegation. Ta-Wan raised a scaled hand for silence. The Council has reviewed Earth's application for membership, he announced, his voice dripping with false formality. We find your species lacking in the necessary prerequisites for admission. Your technological advancement is insufficient, and your cultural unity is questionable at best. Perhaps in another 50 years, you might try again. Park stood motionless for several seconds, his face a mask of diplomatic neutrality. Then, without a word, he turned and walked toward the exit. Jai-Yun and the rest of the delegation followed, their footsteps echoing in the suddenly quiet chamber. As they reached the doors, Jai-Yun glanced at her mentor's face and nearly stopped walking. In Park's eyes, she saw something she had never seen before. Not anger or humiliation, but a cold, calculated determination that sent a shiver down her spine. In that moment, she understood that this rejection wasn't the end of Earth's story with the Council. It was just the beginning. In their private shuttle returning to Earth's embassy section, Park finally spoke. "Jai-Yun, send a message to Earth Command. 2 words only. Protocol Prometheus." Jai-Yun's eyes widened as she entered the message. She didn't know what Protocol Prometheus was, but something in Park's tone told her the Council would soon regret their laughter. The shuttle's windows reflected the ambassador's small smile as they passed through the station's force field and into open space. Above them, the massive station Alpha 7 continued its eternal orbit, its occupants unaware that they had just witnessed the last day of the Council's unchallenged supremacy in the galaxy. 3 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean's surface, Director Sung-min stood at the observation window of the Marinera Deep facility, watching as massive robotic arms carefully positioned another quantum-reinforced hull plate. The piece, larger than a football field, moved with surprising grace through the pressurized construction bay's water. The facility itself was a marvel of engineering, a city-sized complex built in absolute secrecy over 15 years. Its existence was known only to a select few in Earth's government, and even fewer knew its true purpose. The official records listed it as a deep-sea mining operation. In reality, it was humanity's answer to centuries of galactic contempt. Sung-min's reflection in the reinforced window looked tired but determined. Dark circles under his eyes testified to countless sleepless nights, but there was an energy in his movements that spoke of barely contained excitement. After all, they were about to achieve what the Galactic Council had deemed impossible for a primitive species like humanity. "Director," Chief Engineer Yoon-suk's voice came from behind him. She approached with a tablet displaying complex mathematical formulae and energy readings. Her usual neat appearance was slightly disheveled, suggesting she'd come straight from the testing chamber. "The quantum fold drive test results are in." Sung-min turned, his attention immediately focused on the data. "Show me." "The drive didn't just work," Yoon-suk said, her eyes bright with excitement as she handed over the tablet. "It exceeded all our projections. We're seeing efficiency ratings 300% better than the most advanced Centaurian drives we've analyzed. The energy matrix is stable, and the fold calculations are perfect." Sung-min studied the numbers, a small smile forming on his face. "They said we couldn't possibly understand quantum mechanics well enough to build this. That humans were too primitive to grasp the fundamental principles of space-time manipulation." "They were wrong," Yoon-suk stated simply, moving to stand beside him at the window. Below them, another massive section of hull was being moved into position. Lead scientist Jin Ho entered the observation deck, his normally serious face split by an uncharacteristic grin. "Director, you need to see the latest shield matrix simulations." He projected a hologram in the center of the room, showing a massive warship, the EDS Prometheus, surrounded by 3 Council dreadnoughts. The simulation played out, showing the Council ships opening fire with their most powerful weapons. The Prometheus's shields flared brilliant blue, but held steady. "The adaptive shield matrix doesn't just work. It learns," Jin Ho explained, manipulating the hologram to show the energy distribution patterns. "Each hit makes it stronger as it adapts to the weapon frequencies. According to our calculations, it could withstand concentrated fire from at least 3 Council dreadnoughts simultaneously, probably more." Sung-min watched the simulation play again, remembering the dismissive laughter in the Council chamber when Earth had presented its shield technology research. They had called it quaint and elementary. "What about the offensive capabilities?" he asked, turning to face his team. Yoon-suk tapped her tablet, and a hologram changed to show the Prometheus's weapon systems. The plasma lance array is functioning at 125% of designed capacity. The quantum torpedoes are stable and showing yield potential far beyond anything in the Council's arsenal. "And the point defense grid?" She paused, smiling, Let's just say nothing smaller than a cruiser will get close enough to matter. Through the window, they could see the actual Prometheus taking shape. Its hull was a special alloy that absorbed rather than reflected light, making it appear as a ship-shaped void in the water. Nearly 3 kilometers of concentrated human ingenuity and determination, built in secret while the galaxy laughed at Earth's primitive technology. Time estimate to completion. Sung Min asked, his eyes fixed on the growing vessel. 4 months for final assembly, Jin Ho replied. Another 2 for system integration and crew training. We'll be ready well before the Council's planned expansion into the Proxima sector. Sung Min nodded slowly. They had intercepted the Council's private communications about their peacekeeping operation planned for Proxima. It would be the perfect moment to reveal just how wrong they had been about humanity. Director, a young technician called from the doorway. We've just received word from Ambassador Park. The Council rejected Earth's membership application. Again. A moment of silence fell over the room, broken by Sung Min's quiet chuckle. Perfect timing. They won't see us coming. He turned to address his team. Double the work shifts. I want this ship ready in 3 months, not 4. It's time to show the galaxy what primitive humans can do. Through the window, another massive hull plate moved into position, bringing humanity one step closer to changing the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The EDS Prometheus was more than just a warship. It was humanity's declaration of independence from Council authority. And soon, very soon, those who had laughed would learn just how dangerous it was to underestimate Earth. Admiral Mirai stood on the bridge of the Earth monitoring station Sentinel-7, her hands clasped behind her back, as she watched the holographic display with growing fury. The 3-dimensional image showed a fleet of Council warships surrounding the peaceful world of Alpha Centauri B3, home to the Alphans, a species known throughout the galaxy for their scientific achievements and peaceful nature. The Council ships hung in orbit like predators, their weapons already charged and targeting the planet's major population centers. The message they had broadcast was still playing on repeat through the station's communication systems. Join the Council under restricted status, or face immediate orbital bombardment. You have 1 standard hour to comply. Those bastards, Lieutenant Hyun-woo muttered from his monitoring station. The Alphans don't even have a proper military. Their orbital platforms are purely defensive. Mirai watched as the Alphan leadership made their choice. The only choice they could make to save their people. Their surrender was transmitted across all frequencies, followed by the Council's acceptance of their submission. The Admiral's fingernails dug into her palms as she watched Council peacekeeping forces begin their descent to the planet's surface. Bring up the analysis of their fleet movements, Mirai ordered, her voice tight with controlled anger. The holographic display shifted, showing a broader view of Council military activities over the past 6 months. Red lines traced their path of conquest, 15 independent worlds forced into submission through similar tactics. A new alert flashed across the display. Lieutenant Hyun-woo's fingers flew across his console as he processed the incoming data. Admiral, we've just intercepted a new set of Council communications. They're planning to move on the Proxima colonies next. Mirai's eyes narrowed. Proxima was different. It was a human colony, though the Council didn't know that. The settlement had been established in secret, using stealth technology to hide its true nature. As far as the Council knew, it was just another independent alien world ripe for peacekeeping. Show me their battle plan, she commanded. A hologram shifted again, displaying the Council's intended assault formation. 27 warships, including 3 dreadnoughts, would surround the colony. It would be the largest show of force yet in their expansion campaign. They're not even trying to hide their intentions anymore, Han-woo observed, scrolling through the decoded transmissions. The message they're planning to send Proxima is even more direct than the others. No diplomatic pretense at all. Mirai straightened her uniform, a gesture that her crew had learned to recognize. It meant a decision had been made. Lieutenant, send an encrypted message to Earth Command. 2 words only. "They're coming." The response came back almost immediately. "Prometheus is ready. Send word to our sleeper agents in the Proxima colony," May Ray ordered. "Tell them to maintain their cover but be prepared. When the Council fleet arrives, they're going to get a surprise they'll never forget." She turned to address the bridge crew directly. "For 15 years, we've watched and waited. We've gathered intelligence, studied their tactics, and prepared our response. The Council thinks they can bully their way across the galaxy without consequences. They think humanity is weak, primitive, unworthy of their respect." The Admiral's eyes gleamed with fierce determination. They're about to learn just how wrong they are. New alerts began flashing across the main display. The Council fleet was already mobilizing for their attack on Proxima. May Ray watched the ships forming up, knowing that each one represented an enemy who had no idea what was coming. "Get me a secure channel to Director Sungmin," she ordered. "It's time to show the galaxy what humanity has been doing while they weren't looking." As her crew rushed to comply, May Ray allowed herself a small smile. The Council had crossed a line, and humanity had spent 15 years preparing for this very moment. Soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn that underestimating Earth had been their greatest mistake. "Lieutenant," she called out, "begin transmission of all gathered evidence of Council aggression to our secure servers. Every forced submission, every threatened bombardment, every violation of sovereign rights. When we make our move, I want the galaxy to understand exactly why." The holographic display continued to update, showing the Council fleet's progress toward Proxima. They moved with the confidence of predators who had never faced real resistance, who had never had their power truly challenged. That was about to change. Somewhere in the depths of Earth's oceans, the EDS Prometheus was preparing for its first real combat mission. The Council's arrogance had finally brought them to the point of no return, and humanity was ready to show them exactly what a primitive species could do. "Message from Earth Command. Admiral," Hanbu announced. "Operation Dawnbreaker is now authorized. We have green light for full intervention." May Ray nodded, her expression hardening with resolve. "Send the activation codes to all our hidden defense platforms in the Proxima system. When the Council arrives to threaten our people, they're going to learn that humanity's patience should not have been mistaken for weakness." The bridge crew worked with focused intensity, each person knowing that they were about to be part of a moment that would change galactic history forever. The time for watching and waiting was over. The Council had pushed too far, threatened too many, and now they would face the consequences of their actions. Humanity's response would be neither primitive nor weak. It would be devastating. The Proxima star cast its bloody light across the battlefield as Council warships moved into attack formation. High Commander Tadwan stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching with satisfaction as his fleet surrounded the colonial defense platforms. "Primitive defenses," he remarked to his subordinates, mandibles clicking in amusement. "They don't even have proper shield harmonics." The colonial platforms were putting up what resistance they could, their energy weapons splashing harmlessly against Council shields. Taiwan had brought 27 ships, including 3 dreadnoughts, for what he expected to be a simple subjugation mission. "Send the ultimatum," he ordered. "Give them the standard terms: immediate surrender or orbital bombardment." Before his communications officer could comply, space itself seemed to tear open. A massive black shape emerged from what appeared to be a fold in reality itself, something that should have been impossible according to Council physics. The EDS Prometheus appeared in the heart of the battlefield, its midnight black hull 3 kilometers of pure technological advancement. The massive ship dwarfed even Tadawan's flagship, its surface seeming to drink in the local starlight rather than reflect it. "Impossible," Tawan whispered, all 4 eyes widening in shock. "No species has achieved quantum folding on that scale." On the bridge of the Prometheus, Captain Sunhai stood calmly at her command station. The massive bridge was a marvel of human engineering, with holographic displays showing every aspect of the battle in perfect clarity. All systems nominal, reported her tactical officer. Shields at full power. Weapons hot and ready. Sun He nodded, watching the Council fleet's formation break apart in confusion. Some ships were already backing away, while others were turning to bring their weapons to bear. "Open a channel to all Council vessels," she ordered. Her voice was steady, carrying the weight of 15 years of preparation for this moment. "This is Captain Sun Hai of the Earth defense ship Prometheus. You are ordered to cease hostilities and withdraw from Proxima space immediately." On the Eternal Dominion, Taiwan's mandibles clicked rapidly in agitation. "Earth? Impossible. They're a primitive species. They can't have built this." He jabbed a clawed finger toward his weapons officer. "All ships, open fire. Full barrage." 27 Council ships unleashed their most powerful weapons simultaneously. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and quantum missiles streaked toward the Prometheus in a display of firepower that could have cracked a small moon. The attacks struck the Prometheus's shields and simply vanished. There was no explosion, no energy dispersion, just a subtle ripple of blue light across an invisible barrier. "Shields holding at 99.8%, reported the Prometheus's defensive officer, almost sounding bored. "The adaptive matrix is already compensating for their attack patterns." Sun Hai allowed herself a small smile. "Send them a demonstration. Target the flagship's primary weapon arrays. Minimal power." A single beam of concentrated energy lanced out from the Prometheus, precisely striking the Eternal Dominion's main gun emplacements. The Council ship's shields, considered among the most advanced in known space, didn't even register the attack before failing completely. By the first ones, Taiwan gasped as warning alarms blared across his bridge. "How is this possible?" "This is your final warning." Sun He's voice came across all frequencies again. "The Proxima colonies are under Earth's protection. Withdraw your forces immediately, or we will be forced to demonstrate our full capabilities." To emphasize her point, the Prometheus's weapon ports began to glow with barely contained energy. Sensors across the Council fleet registered power readings that exceeded anything in their database. "All ships, fall back." Taiwan ordered, his voice shaking. "Return to Council space immediately." The Council fleet broke formation, ships scrambling to retreat from what they now realized was a superior force. As they fled, the Prometheus remained motionless, a dark sentinel protecting the colonies they had come to subjugate. "Send word to Earth Command," Sun Hai ordered as she watched the Council ships disappear into hyperspace. "Operation Dawnbreaker successful. The galaxy now knows we're here." She turned to look out at the Proxima colonies below, their lights twinkling against the darkness of space. For centuries, humanity had been dismissed as primitive, unworthy of galactic citizenship. Today, they had proven just how wrong that assessment had been. The age of Council dominance was over. A new era was beginning, and humanity would help shape it. Chaos erupted in the Grand Council chamber as the recording played for the third time. The massive holographic display showed the EDS Prometheus emerging from what appeared to be a tear in space itself, its dark hull absorbing even the light of nearby weapons fire. The Council representatives watched again as their most powerful ship's weapons simply vanished against the Earth vessel's shields. Sub-Councilor Haynul's tentacles had turned a sickly shade of gray as he faced the assembled representatives. The emergency session had been called within hours of the Proxima incident, and now nearly every member species was demanding answers. "This is clearly propaganda," Haynul attempted, his translator struggling to convey confidence he didn't feel. "Doctored footage, Mento." "I was there." High Commander Taiwan's voice boomed through the chamber. The usually composed Centaurian scales were shifting colors rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. 27 of our most advanced ships, including 3 dreadnoughts, and we couldn't even scratch their shields. They disabled my flagship's weapons with a single shot, at minimal power. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices and translated exclamations. The Rigelian representative, a crystalline being known for their usual calm, was practically vibrating with anger. How did we not know? The Regellian demanded, their crystal facets flashing dangerous colors. You assured us humans were primitive. You rejected their membership application 3 times. More recordings began playing on various personal devices throughout the chamber. New footage was flooding the galactic net, Earth ships appearing at key strategic points throughout Council space. Each vessel demonstrated the same impossible technologies as the Prometheus. The Arcturus checkpoint reports an Earth vessel twice the size of the Prometheus, called out one representative. Similar ships spotted in the Sirius corridor, added another. Their quantum folding technology shouldn't be possible, a scientific advisor muttered, reviewing the data. Their shield matrix adapts faster than any known system. Even their hull composition is beyond our understanding. In his private chambers, High Counselor Taiwan reviewed report after report with growing dread. Earth ships had been spotted at 37 strategic locations in just the past 12 hours. Each appearance followed the same pattern. The ships would emerge from nowhere, demonstrate their superior technology, and simply wait. They're not attacking, he realized, speaking to his empty chamber. They're showing us they could have attacked at any time. His personal console chimed with yet another priority message. The Proxima colonies, which they had assumed were another independent alien world, were revealed to be human settlements. More human colonies were being discovered throughout supposedly empty systems, all of them protected by technology that made Council defenses look primitive in comparison. High Counselor, his aide's voice came through the comm system. The merchant guilds are demanding an emergency meeting. Trade routes are being disrupted as captains refuse to move through sectors where Earth ships have been spotted. Taiwan didn't respond immediately. He was watching new footage from the Vega sector, where an Earth vessel had just prevented a Council peacekeeping operation with casual ease. The recording showed the Council ship's weapons being absorbed by those impossible shields, while the Earth ship simply waited, like an adult tolerating a child's tantrum. In the main chamber, the situation was deteriorating further. Several traditionally opposed species were now forming impromptu alliances, recognizing that the Council's authority was rapidly crumbling. We demand an investigation, called out the Andromedan delegate. How long has the Council known about Earth's true capabilities? What else has the Council hidden from its members? Added another representative. Sub-Counselor Haynewell's tentacles had now faded to an almost transparent state, a sign of extreme stress in his species. Please, honored representatives, we must maintain order. Order? The Regellian's crystalline voice cut through the chaos. You've lost the right to demand order. Your assurances about humanity's primitive status led many of us to dismiss them as potential allies. Now we find they've surpassed us all while we weren't looking. The chamber's main display switched to a live feed from the Arcturus sector. Another Earth ship had appeared, this one protecting a minor species that had been resisting Council membership. The message was clear. The days of forced compliance were over. In his chambers, Taiwan finally understood the full scope of what was happening. Humanity hadn't just built better ships or weapons. They had completely changed the balance of power in the galaxy, and they had done it right under the Council's nose, while being dismissed as primitive and unworthy. His console chimed again. This time, it was a simple text message from Earth's diplomatic corps, ready to discuss new terms. The message didn't need to specify what terms. Everyone in the galaxy now knew that the era of Council dominance was over. A new power had emerged, one that had spent years preparing for this moment while being underestimated by all. The balance of power wasn't just shifting, it had already shifted, and humanity had managed it without firing a single shot in anger. The Grand Council chamber felt different now. Ambassador Jia Yun noticed it immediately as she walked through those massive doors that had once intimidated her. Where there had once been sneers and mockery, now there was tense silence. Where Council members had once lounged carelessly in their seats, they now sat rigidly attentive. Above the chamber, visible through the transparent dome, the EDS Prometheus hung in high orbit like a dark guardian. Its presence was both a promise and a warning, a reminder of how much had changed in so short a time. Jai Yun took her position at the central podium, remembering the last time she had stood here as a mere aide. Now she was Earth's lead negotiator, and the chamber that had once dismissed humanity waited for her words. "Distinguished representatives," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the perfect acoustics. 3 months ago, this chamber rejected Earth's application for membership. Today, we are not here to apply. We are here to offer a new path forward. The holographic displays around the chamber activated, showing real-time footage from across the galaxy. Each image showed an Earth ship protecting a different species that had once faced Council subjugation. "The old order is ending," Jai Yun continued. "The days of forced compliance and technological suppression are over. Earth proposes a new framework for galactic cooperation, one based on mutual respect and genuine technological exchange." Sub-Counselor Haynewell's tentacles twitched nervously. "And if we refuse this proposal?" Jai Yun's smile was polite but firm. "The Prometheus and her sister ships will remain at their current positions, protecting any species that asks for our help. Trade routes through those sectors will continue to be disrupted." The threat was subtle but clear. Already, the Council's economy was struggling as merchants refused to risk encounters with Earth's superior ships. "You speak of cooperation," called out a Centaurian representative, "yet you threaten us with your fleet." "We learn from the Council's example," Jai Yun replied calmly. "Isn't this exactly how you've treated smaller species? The difference is, we're offering genuine partnership instead of subjugation." The holographic displays shifted to show scenes from various worlds now under Earth's protection. On one, former enemies were engaging in open trade. On another, technological knowledge was being freely shared. Earth has already signed cooperation treaties with 15 former Council victims, Jai Yun announced. "They've chosen to ally with us because we offer what the Council never did: respect for their sovereignty and genuine technological exchange." The chamber erupted in murmurs as this news sank in. 15 independent alliances, each backed by Earth's superior technology, represented a major shift in galactic politics. "And what exactly are your demands?" High Counselor Tadawun asked, his scales shifting colors rapidly. "Not demands. Proposals," Jai Yun corrected. "First, all species currently under restricted status will be granted full independence. Second, technological exchange will be open and unrestricted. No more keeping advanced science as leverage over others. Third, a new galactic alliance will replace the Council, with all members having equal voting rights." She paused, letting the magnitude of these changes sink in. "The Prometheus and her sister ships will ensure compliance during the transition period. After that, they will serve as peacekeepers for the alliance, protecting all members equally." A crystalline, Rigelian representative rose. "Earth clearly possesses technology far beyond ours. What guarantee do we have that you won't simply become the new tyrants?" Jai Yun's response was ready. "Because unlike the Council, we remember what it's like to be dismissed as primitive. We remember being told we weren't worthy of membership. Everything we do will be transparent, every advancement shared. The era of technological suppression ends today." The chamber was silent as her words sank in. The holograms continued to show Earth's ships protecting former victims, each image a reminder of how completely the balance of power had shifted. "You have one standard week to consider our proposal," Jai Yun concluded. "After that, Earth and our allies will proceed with forming the new alliance, with or without Council participation." As she turned to leave, voices erupted throughout the chamber. Some called for immediate acceptance, others for resistance. But Jai Yun knew the outcome was already decided. The Council's power was broken, and a new era of genuine cooperation was beginning. Outside the chamber, she allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had gone from rejected applicants to architects of a new galactic order in 3 months, and they had done it not through conquest, but by offering real partnership to those who had been oppressed. The Prometheus's shadow passed overhead, a reminder that sometimes the best way to prevent war was to be so powerful that no one dared to start one. But Earth would use that power differently than the Council had, not to suppress, but to lift others up. The diplomatic revolution had begun. The newly constructed Terra Station gleamed like a jewel against Earth's blue backdrop, its crystalline spires and sweeping architecture representing a blend of technologies from 100 worlds. 1 year had passed since the Council's power had crumbled, and today marked the first official session of the Galactic Alliance. High Representative Sungmin stood in his office, gazing out at the assembled fleet in orbit. The EDS Prometheus held position at the center, but it was no longer alone. Ships from 24 species now patrolled alongside it, their diverse designs reflecting the new spirit of cooperation. Former enemies trained together, sharing knowledge that had once been hoarded by the Council. "It's time, sir," his aide announced softly. Sung Min nodded, straightening his formal uniform. The journey from secret project director to high representative of the Galactic Alliance still felt surreal sometimes. As he walked through the station's corridors, representatives from various species bowed or gestured in respect, not from fear, but genuine admiration. The new Alliance chamber was a marvel of collaborative engineering. Unlike the old Council chamber's hierarchical design, this one was circular, with all seats arranged on the same level. The message was clear. All members were equals here. As Sung Min entered, the chamber quieted naturally. Representatives from over 400 species filled the seats, former Council worlds, independent species, and even some newly discovered civilizations that had previously hidden from Council attention. "Representatives of the Alliance," he began, his voice carrying clearly through the advanced acoustics. 1 year ago, humanity revealed itself to the galaxy, not as conquerors, though we had the power to be such, but as protectors. The massive displays around the chamber showed scenes from the past year. Earth ships defending smaller species, technological exchanges improving lives across hundreds of worlds, former enemies working together on joint projects. "We remember being called primitive," Sung Min continued. "We remember being rejected, dismissed, mocked. But instead of seeking revenge, we chose a different path. We chose to become what the galaxy needed, a force for unity rather than subjugation." Former High Counselor Ta Wan, now simply the Centaurian representative, nodded slowly. His species had been among the first to embrace the new order, recognizing that true strength lay in cooperation rather than domination. "In 1 year," Sung Min continued, "we have achieved what the Council could not in centuries, not through force, but through genuine cooperation. Every member of this alliance has equal voice, equal access to technology, equal protection under our combined fleet." The displays showed the latest achievements. A new medical technology developed jointly by 3 formerly hostile species, a breakthrough in quantum communications created by a collaboration of 6 different worlds, a terraforming project that would give hope to dozens of displaced populations. Today marks not just the first official session of our alliance, but a new chapter in galactic history, Sung Min declared. "Look around you. Former enemies sit together, sharing knowledge and resources. Species that once hid from the Council now contribute openly to our combined advancement." Above the station, the Prometheus and its companion ships continued their patrol, but they were no longer symbols of Earth's power. They represented the combined strength of all Alliance members. The old Council believed that power came from suppression and fear. Sung Min said, his voice softening. They were wrong. True power comes from lifting each other up, from combining our strengths rather than exploiting each other's weaknesses. He paused, looking around the chamber at the diverse faces of the Alliance members. They thought humanity's patience was weakness. They mistook our preparation for primitiveness. Let that be a lesson to us all as we move forward together. Never judge by appearances, never assume technological advancement equals wisdom, and never mistake patience for weakness. The chamber erupted in applause, a cacophony of sounds from hundreds of different species expressing approval in their own ways. As some men looked out over the assembled representatives, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Humanity had done more than prove itself to the galaxy. They had changed it for the better, creating a future where cooperation replaced domination, where knowledge was shared rather than hoarded, where strength meant protecting the weak rather than exploiting them. The new dawn had arrived, and its light would shine on all species equally. In orbit above, the Prometheus caught Earth's sunlight, its dark hull reflecting the light back into space, no longer absorbing it like a threat, but sharing it like a promise of brighter days ahead.